I think the blame's going the wrong direction here myself.
So it needs to be Steven. Steven needs to be in the blame.
I think when you start to talk about when they don't want to change. They don't want Bill Belichick walking in here or Jim Harbaugh walking in here and saying, we need to do this differently personnel-wise. I don't like the way we're doing this personnel-wise. I don't like this. They don't want that. They don't want that. It's easy for them now. Mike's not going to get in their way about personnel. Mike's not going to get in their way and say, oh, well, like I want him to go in there and say, hey, we need to do something different here. He's not. He's not going to do it different. It's totally comfortable for the way that these guys operate now.
It is.
They don't have anybody questioning their personnel moves. They get to draft. They get to sign players, their own players. They don't do things that the guy in Philadelphia does or people who are fighting for their jobs. That's what this football team is.
Yeah.
They've handed it off from a guy who used to do crazy-ass things. And I was part of the crazy-ass things he did.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, you were.
And you know what?
You
the
were
crazy-ass,
a bad mofo.
I almost said an S word there. The crazy-ass stuff will get you fired, But he handed it off. And that's where we are now.
I think he did it again, and this time he finished
and he
the
gets
job.
some of that fire back.
He left with dad's cojones the last time he did it.
Well, they've got a general manager in place, and they've got a personnel director. Sorry, I'm not going to put you guys in this. I respect respect Will McClay.
Yeah.
I really,
I do too.
I do too. And I think that there's some things that maybe Will would want to do differently, but he understands what they're up against.
Yeah.
But he does not want change. None of those guys want change because change means they have to do things completely differently from what they've done before, which they've had success doing. Drafting, they draft really, really well. They occasionally sign a free agent that is kind of under the radar kind of guy that works out. They don't play the game that we used to play in the early 2000s, effing up this team. Signing guys, not working out, drafting poorly. That's Jerry still is capable of doing that if you put him in charge.
That's good sports passion right there.
Enough to play for another organization after spending 8 years in Dallas. I went and played for the Baltimore Ravens where Ozzie Newsome was the general manager. Harbaugh was the head coach, and I saw Steve Bisciotti twice in 8 months. Okay? Stop telling me about coaches. The coach that coaches for Dallas comes in at a deficit. Wow. They come in with all of this stuff that they shouldn't have to deal with, that they got to focus on before they even start coaching football. So whether it's Prime or Mike McCarthy or Bill Belichick or Jesus, Jerry Jones is going to be there with the same type of culture that's being created because it's being created by the guy that writes the checks. And he can do what he wants to do.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation? It's your boy DMV back with another one, man. Good morning, man. How y'all feeling, bro? I got to take a page out of my guy Rome's, book. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feeling, man? Nah. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe to the channel, man, because we got some good stuff to talk about today. We're closing in on 10K subs, man. So if you're not subbed to the channel, please sub to the channel. If you want to make an 8-year-old happy, I promise my daughter that if we get to 10K subs, when we get to 10K, and I told her this at 5K, that we would do a seafood mukbang on this channel. So if you guys want to make an 8-year-old happy, subscribe to the channel. But you're gonna get good content anyway. But let's get to the meat of this thing, man. Let's get to the meat of this content, which you guys clicked on the button for. You guys saw the title, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to hear some controversy. We're not going to talk about controversy as much. Guys, I'm not really about the drama, but I am about solutions. And part of the solution is figuring out what this culture is, how to break down some of the things, and how to move forward. And we keep hearing from ex-players. We keep hearing from ex-people in the organization how everything is business. You know what I'm saying? It's business first and football second. So we heard Dez and what he said. And Dez moved over to Baltimore and he loved it over there. And Swagu talked about moving over to Baltimore, loved it over there. Cole Beasley talked about going to Buffalo and loving it over there. And Buffalo ain't won nothing. They have never won anything. And he felt that it was more of a football culture over there. So let's talk about some of the comments. You know, Swagu talked about the layers, which I'm always talking about, what I've been talking about for years. When you got an owner and a GM and how it's built, the players are going to answer to multiple people. In most organizations, they answer to your head coach. And maybe in dysfunctional ones, maybe they'll answer to the GM. When you're the owner and GM, it's impossible for them to put the coach ahead of you because you're the one that cuts the checks and you're the one that's hands-on with them. Now, I'm not saying that it's Jerry per se, you know, because what Bryan was saying is that Steven has taken over, Steven and Will. When you got a mom and pop shop like the Cowboys, you know, they run a little bit differently. And it hasn't necessarily been working. And so Bryan puts a lot of blame on what Stephen Jones is doing. And I agree. I totally agree. Jerry has stepped back, but the makeup of the organization is what's causing conflict. So when Swagu comes out and says Jerry, he's not just talking about Jerry. He's talking about the culture, because at the end of it, he talked about the things that he has in place. The way that he has it in place, it's going to always undercut your coach, and your coach is is always going to have obstacles when he's coaching. And that's what's happening. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You're going to run into this unless they take a step back and allow the coach to be the main disciplinarian. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have to be the main disciplinarian, because what they're doing right now, the main disciplinarian is, we're going to try and cut your pay, or we're going to try and find ways not to pay you. That's been Dallas's MO. And on top of that, you have to act accordingly. We need you to do X, Y, and Z. You know, almost like it's emasculating your players, emasculating your coaches, and then we're expecting them to go out there and be alphas. It's not going to happen. They're neutered. When you hear the term neutered, remember where you heard it first. The Cowboys brass, they neuter their players. Unless something changes within how they construct things, if they allow Will McClay to have more of a hands-on approach, and they step back and they allow their head coach to be a head coach, we're going to continue to get this team that falls short. Because with this formula, really, technically, if you look at this formula has not worked. It worked. It worked when your coach was allowed to hold these guys accountable. When your GM, owner / daddy's boy, who ain't, you know, didn't have to earn that job, he was given it, and he's not going to get fired. When it's set up like that, we're going to continue to get what we're getting. The culture's broken because of the structure. The structure has to bend or break, and you're going to have to rebuild it in order for this team to get over the hump. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Also, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't liked and subscribed on the way out. We out of here. Have a great day. Salute.